orderly and predictable. The federal government. Please give a warm welcome on to the TEDMED stage to Francis Collins.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
So, we're going to do an experiment here today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and it's going to be a roller coaster ride. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We've never done anything like this at TEDMED before, and we're doing an experiment with the chief of experimentation. So, well, wish us luck. So, Francis, when I came to see you, we said that today's greatest voyage of discovery is happening in labs across the U.S., and most people don't know about it. There's this journey into the human body, Francis. Will you tell TEDMED, why doesn't America know what's going on inside the labs?
Well, research is done inside laboratories behind closed doors by people working with a lot of fancy equipment sometimes and using a jargon that sometimes isn't very immediately understandable. And there's not sort of one of those television moments in biomedical research all that often. It's not like landing on the moon, for instance, where you have a big adventure and everybody gets on board. But that's too bad because, you know, this is the century of biology, and there are great stories happening in labs all over the country every day, and we're not hearing about them, at least the public isn't. I get to hear about a lot of them, but many people have a vague sense it's interesting, but they're not sure what's happening.
So when I talk to scientists, and I talk to my share, I find that they're frustrated that people don't know what they're doing. Has that been your experience? Are they frustrated about it?
Absolutely. Scientists have a great sense of passion, a commitment to what they're doing. They're excited about sort of learning something that nobody ever knew before. They want to tell that story, but they don't really have an opportunity most of the time to do that in a way that people can kind of get excited with them.
So there's another huge cost that you and I talked about briefly. We clearly want more minorities and more women to go into science. But they have so few role models that they can look to. I mean, athletes and celebrities and movie stars, they're everywhere. But our scientists' role models, they're like, for women and minorities, they're almost nowhere. How important are role models in the future of science?
Oh, critically important, Jay. And that's actually a very high priority right now at NIH. We're trying to do something to try to increase the attractiveness of careers in biomedical research to people from all backgrounds, but they look around and it's a little hard sometimes to find people that resemble what they think they want to become. We need to have more of that visibility.
So if we built a global stage and we asked scientists to tell us very personally what they're doing in plain language and why they're excited about it, you think scientists would step into the limelight?
I think they'd love it. People think that scientists are geeks, but we're actually all performers. We all want to show what we're doing, want to tell our story. We need to take this idea of personalized medicine and talk about personalizing medical research by giving an opportunity for the people doing the research to tell those stories.
So at TEDMED, we're all about creating larger conversations that include everybody. So we put together a small team after I spent some time with Francis here and found that there are the tools in place that have never existed before to address this exact problem. We're thinking about building a virtual stage, TV. Let me show you what we've been working on. I've set up a nationwide Google Hangout. This is the experiment. Wait until you see who I have joining us, Francis, live on the web. David, are you there? There he is. Okay, let me tell you. David, wait a second. Let me tell the audience about you. So let me tell you who I have on the screen, because I didn't want to tell them until you showed up. Okay? For 50 years, David Hoffman has been making award-winning documentaries that are based on interviews. He has interviewed 4 presidents and thousands of what David calls extraordinary, ordinary people. His documentaries have a total of 10 million views on YouTube. He's built 2 companies that have each recruited thousands of independent local filmmakers. So, David, tell us where you are.
I'm here at Johns Hopkins, Baltimore, Maryland. I am with Shri Sarma, who happens to be in the lab here. This is her lab, Jay. Let me first say, the videographers on the college campuses of America, the journalists who are studying journalism, they're more than ready. They're hungry. In order to become a pro, you got to demonstrate. And I know that they would be desperate to go into labs like this to talk to people like Shri, who I'm about to speak with. And the technology is there, not just the technology that allows me to talk to you guys in Washington, you folks in Washington and around the world, but the little camera, the little microphone, the one person by themselves just asking Shri, as I'm about to, why she does, what drives her, how she feels about it. Not just the science, as Francis said, but more importantly, the person. So, Jay, Francis, if it's okay, can I talk with Shri for a moment?
You know, introduce her and tell us what she thinks.
Okay. Shri, thank you very much. I found her in the last hour here in the lab. And tell me this. Are you passionate, and what drives you? And have you always been who you are, the head of this lab with these guys behind you doing some kind of brain something?
Right. Yes, I'm extremely passionate about what I do, and I'm also a passionate person. And yes, I think it's fair to say that I've been like this all my life. When I was a child, I wasn't interested in saving people's lives, but I was very competitive, and I just wanted to beat all the boys and girls in math and science. But luckily, since I've grown up, I actually have more interesting goals. In particular, when I was a graduate student, I was taking a class in neuroscience, and we were studying movement disorders like Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, and I decided to do a case study on my aunt. And my aunt was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the astonishingly early age of 29. And after spending 3 days with her, I realized that I really wanted to know more about this disease. I wanted to know what's going on in the brains of these patients. I thought that it would be, especially the fact that this is a disease that still there's no cure today. And so I thought I should leverage my engineering background to try to study what's going on in their brains to hopefully develop better therapies and treatments.
And what about these? These are your colleagues behind you, these guys.
Yep.
Guys, you know what we're doing here. Would you like to be on video and talk to others who might be interested in what you're about? Yes? No? Maybe?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Be great.
Do they have it, do you think, these guys? Do they have what it takes?
Absolutely. They're here 24/7, I would have to say.
24/7. The story is really good. There are thousands of these people. When Francis said it to Jay said it to me, I said, oh my God, the nation, the world, young people, students of all ages, they're waiting. So Jay, I would say the videographers, the journalists, the Shrees, and the boys that stand by her, there are girls too, but they're not right here, are ready.
Excellent. All right, we're going to keep going. Right. She was certainly enthusiastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Next up on LabTV is at a Google Hangout is Megan Smith. Megan, you're in San Francisco, I think. You're at a school.
I am. I am in the amazing classroom of Kai King here in 8th grade mathematics at the San Francisco School.
Okay, let me tell the audience who you are real briefly. Megan is a one-of-a-kind. She's a brilliant engineer at MIT. Of course, I tell you that, not she. Okay, she had a great early career at Apple at Japan. She's run several startups. She ran new business development at Google, and now she's on the leadership team at Google X. That's where Google's moonshot projects works for Sergey. You know, an underachiever, of course. Okay, Megan, okay, tell me, if you were designing LabTV, how would you do it, and what could it mean to kids?
You know, I would make it easy to make these videos. As David said, you know, we have flip cams, we can make this stuff. Let's go right off of our phones. Let's get people watching. Let's let people share. Let's let people comment and collaborate. I would think a little daily show mixed in. Let's make it fun. Let's make it smart. And also it's about who as much as what. It's about why we're doing this and inspiring. Around the kids, I would say that yeah, like these guys are awesome and they're digitally plugged in, and kids around the world are slowly, everywhere, even in emerging markets, are getting digitally plugged in. Let's include them. Not only have fun with them and have them, you know, join this career path, but also let's engage them. They are smart. Ideas come from everywhere. And, you know, last year, the Google Science Fair, we had winners from Florida, from Swaziland, from everywhere. And I think these kids could collaborate, Francis, with your researchers.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Okay, we're going to the next stop. Okay, looks like she's looking beyond. She's thinking interactivity.
I love it.
So that's like, you know, that's going to be great. All right, who's our next stop? I think our next stop is Fritz Francois at NYU Medical. You know, good afternoon, Fritz. You run a mentorship program that encourages students across America to go into sciences. All right. Are we correct here in believing that younger people are hungry for engagement and looking for a chance to get involved, to do something that helps humanity?
Jay, you bet. They are even hungrier than you know. Students are eager to make a difference in terms of scientific exploration and discovery. Now, what I have observed through the programs here at the NYU School of Medicine is that these students are absolutely awestruck when they see research come to life and when they have the opportunity to engage with the individuals who are exploring the wonders of scientific research.
Fantastic. You know, Megan said earlier when I chatted with her, not here but before, if you can't see it, you can't be it. Role models. Francis and I were talking about it. Yeah. Tell me, how critical role models?
Role models are so critical. I absolutely agree. I gotta tell you, role models made a difference in my life, and they make a difference in the students' lives because they fan the fire of the passion for research. Now, as you discussed before, it's interesting that we can see role models in sports and entertainment, but what we need to do is find these celebrity scientists that represent the racial, ethnic, and gender diversity. They need to see them, they need to be inspired by them, they need to be like them. And if we do that, we're going to inspire the next generation of researchers to embark on this incredible journey, and that's exciting.
Thank you. You got it. We're on a tight schedule. We'll catch up with you. Let's go to the MIT Sloan School in Boston. Anjali Sethi. Anjali, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so Anjali works with graduate students who go to developing countries all around the world and create entirely new approaches to health and medicine, real innovations. Would LabTV be relevant outside the borders of the United States?
Oh, for sure. I love the idea of getting a new way to share work on the front lines. My students go and work inside settings that are delivering healthcare in some of the poorest communities of the world in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. They have an amazing learning experience, but how then do they figure out how to tell the story and figure out what works and what doesn't? The act of figuring out what they've learned and distilling it and disseminating it helps them learn, but it also shows the possibility to others. You could do this too.
So you could also see students from labs outside the U.S. also getting energized here.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is to find really interesting problems, turn them into rigorous research questions that students can take a crack at. We can then figure out what works, what doesn't, share it with others, and they can contribute back what their innovations are. We need a global dialogue.
Thank you, Anjali. Appreciate it. Well, Francis, the world's following what we're doing here in America, right?
Oh, absolutely. America is leading the world in biomedical research. The world wants to know what we're up to. The idea of being able to tell those stories by this kind of Lab TV channel is going to extend that reach and inspire people who don't live within our shores to get excited about science, just as we're trying to excite the people who live here. You know, science is a global enterprise. It's about all of us. We all share this desire for better health. Why not have America reach out in a new way with this approach?
We've got one last stop. We're going to YouTube headquarters. Now, for those of you that don't use YouTube, okay, YouTube has 1 billion users a day. Let me repeat that, 1 billion users a day. They watch 3 billion videos a day. The YouTube video search engine handles 1 trillion searches a year. That's the YouTube search engine. You know, Angela Lynn, we've got here, is in charge of all of educational programs at YouTube globally. Angela, you've heard all of this. I put you at the last stop. What do you think? Would it work for you at YouTube?
I think it would absolutely work. I mean, YouTube has always been about providing access and a desire to leverage our vast network to benefit the world. And it's really natural for us to support your efforts to connect. LabTV fits right within our mission to inform and inspire by providing access to human stories, stories that matter and that show science in action.
Does YouTube have serious content, Angela? I know a lot of people think YouTube, you know, it just doesn't have serious scientists. A lot of scientists would say, oh, come on, YouTube, that's for like cat videos. Is there serious video at YouTube?
Believe it or not, it does. Many scientists are actually already sharing their expertise through the platform, and what we've seen is that people come to YouTube on a daily basis to learn about and understand the world around them. We're no longer just a global living room, we're also a global town square, a global classroom, and so we believe the power of LabTV on YouTube can really make a difference in health and education.
Angela, thank you so much. You be sure I'm going to be back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Take good care.
Yeah, indeed.
So, Francis, it looks like the pieces are in place for the TEDMED community to figure out how we could actually do this. The videographers are ready to video. The recording tools are all in the field. The researchers are ready to share. The biggest distribution and search system on the globe is eager to help. There's just one last question. Do universities, specifically labs and the NIH, want something like this to happen?
Are you kidding? Can you imagine being a student out there, or a postdoc, or a junior faculty member, toiling away, excited about the research that you're doing, and having somebody ask, do you want to have a chance to tell the world, and saying no? Come on. This is like the wonderful alignment of the planets. As you've just said, the technology, the biomedical research, explosion of opportunity, the hunger that people have to learn about science. We can do this. And I think the universities and their students are going to line up and try to get first on your list of people to end up on LabTV.
Well, we're going to find out. So this is the real opportunity for the TEDMED community to design the key elements of this program in the next few months. It's not done. We've got to design it. The team at TEDMED is ready, and I invite the TEDMED community around the world and in this room to help us. We're going to start with the creation of some short sample videos for how LabTV videos should look. So if you want to make one, or you know someone who loves making interviews, we want you. You go to tedmed.com, you go to Contact Us at the bottom of the page, you click on LabTV, and you get started. So we're looking for the help. This is the journey into the human body. Let's tell that story with the same power and excitement that we told the story of the moon missions 40 years ago. We can inspire young people of all ages. So we can do it together, and I want to thank Francis for being on it with me.
Hey, thanks, Jay. It's great doing this with you.
It's your interview.
Okay. And it's now my pleasure. You heard